Hello my dear friends, you're on the Military Summary channel, and this video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous 12 hours. We have a lot of very interesting updates, so let's start. Today is the beginning of the 24th of August of 2024, the Independence Day of Ukraine, and everyone froze in anticipation of massive missile strike all over the entire territory of Ukraine that, according to different sources, the Russians are planning to conduct. For example, in connection with the possibility of missile strike on the Independence Day, the US and Germany called on their citizens to urgently leave Ukraine. The German Foreign Minister reported that in the run-up to Ukraine's Independence Day, missile and air strikes on city centers, especially the capital Kyiv, may intensify. In connection with this, the German Foreign Minister asked its citizens to refrain from traveling to Ukraine, and those who are already there were called on to urgently leave the country. So as for the beginning of the 24th of August of 2024, we haven't received any updates about massive missile strike all of the entire territory of Ukraine, so it's very difficult to understand what is going to be next. Most likely the Russians are planning to do something, but currently nobody knows for sure what exactly. On the other hand, we continue receiving updates that Ukrainians are planning to conduct something at the same date as well. The source reported about the concentration and redeployment of forces in the vicinity of Odessa and the vicinity of Achakov. Most likely the Ukrainians are conducting the final preparations before further attempts to land on the Zaporozhye and Kherson area through the Black Sea. Maybe they're going to make this today and to start full-scale offensive operation. Other sources reported that during the previous nights, information is coming from the Zaporozhye direction that the Ukrainians has concentrated forces of up to four brigades with the aim of attacking in the direction of Vasilievka. So this is the city of Vasilievka, and according to different sources, the Ukrainians using 4 brigades are planning to attack here. I said to open the way, to open the road to attack further in direction of the Zaporozhye power plant. The Russian sources are saying that combat readiness number 1 has been declared in the southern direction. So for now nothing has started yet, but something tells me that something big and huge is going to happen during the next 24 hours. Now let's talk about the line of combat contact, and we are going to the Pokrovsk direction where the Russians continue their offensive operation. The Ukrainians, according to information we have, according to rumors, according to DG locations, according to everything we received during the previous night, abandoned their positions in Grodovka completely. In this video we can see those who were behind the main Ukrainian forces, the rear guard that were trying to evacuate from Grodovka, but they were destroyed as a result of FPV drone attack, or maybe they got on the minefield that was established using the distance mining method. So this video shows how the Ukrainians were running away from Grodovka towards the next defense build. So most likely today we're going to receive additional updates from the city itself, and maybe the Russians will raise the flag. As for different mappers, they reported and they confirmed pro-Ukrainian mainly that the Russians managed to improve their positions in the southern part of Grodovka as well. So the Russians are trying to enter the city from the second direction. Now let's move to Novogrodovka. The sources reported that the Russians captured this village of Krasny Yar and Krutoy Yar. So for now we haven't received any geolocation that can confirm this, but most likely this is something like this, and the Russians are moving further in direction of Mykolaievka with the purpose to cut off 544 road completely. As for Novogrodovka itself, as you can see, we have adjusted the map significantly. First, we got report from pro-Russian sources. According to them, already 33%, so 20%, 25% of the city is already under Russian control, and the Russians already established control over the high-rise building area. And as for the geolocations, we have just one. In this video, according to Ukrainian sources, we can see the grenade launcher attack. The Russians attacked the Ukrainian tank with grenade launcher, and as a result of this attack, the Ukrainian tank was damaged and destroyed. And this event took place exactly in this point. So the Ukrainian tank was located here. The Russians were attacking the Ukrainian tank along this line, along Centralny Street, and when the tank was damaged, the Ukrainian tank from this part of the street moved to this part of the street, and then he stopped completely. So this video confirms that the Russians are already in this part. For now, we are not adjusting the map because we are waiting for additional details to clarify the line of combat contact, but most likely during the day we're going to change the map. Now let's move to the south. So we got additional geolocation published by the Ukrainian sources, and as you can see, based on this geolocation we have adjusted the map. In this video we can see a number of FPV drone attacks on the Russian infantry and soldiers who were located in the vicinity and around this gas station. So this video confirms additional Russian progress and additional territory was colored. Now let's move to the Karlovka. We see that the Russians resumed their attempts to attack in the western direction. Most of the mappers have adjusted their maps in Russian favor based on this video, but for now we decided to wait for a little bit because this video shows us, yes, the Russian attack, the Russian progress, how the Russians were moving along the main street of Karlovka to the west. But if you take a look at this video, you're gonna see that Ukrainians destroyed most of these armored vehicles. The video doesn't show us the casualties among the personnel and the soldiers, but anyway, we see that maybe that attack was repelled by the Ukrainians. We can't give 100% confirmation that the Russians managed to dig in deeper and to capture Karlovka completely. So for now we are keeping this area as a gray zone. If we continue receiving additional updates, of course we will adjust the map. Now let's move further. As for Toretsk, the Toretsk direction, we haven't received anything special. The same story about the Chasiv Yar and the Siversk and northern Kupiansk direction, just the regular activities of the armed force of Ukraine and armed force of Russian Federation. Now let's talk about the Kursk direction, where the Russians continue offensive, counter-offensive operation. We got some interesting geolocations from the village between of Korineva, Olgovka. According to different mappers, the Russians did restore control over the eastern and southeastern part of Korineva. Some mappers have already updated their maps. We are waiting for additional geolocations to confirm this. And we got very interesting geolocation from inside of Olgovka. In this video we can see the Ukrainians of 225th Battalion that were bombing and attacking the Russian forces inside of the village. So this video confirms either the Russians answered the village and counterattacked the Ukrainian forces, or this is an old video and now we are just watching how the Ukrainians were attacking the Russian forces. Anyway, we start receiving updates that confirms, that says that most likely the Russians restore control or regain some lost positions. Let's wait for additional updates, and if we continue receiving additional updates we will adjust the map. On the other hand, the Ukrainians continue concentration their forces. The group of forces north stated that now we see the reduce of Ukrainian activity, which confirms that the Ukrainians are regrouping before further attempts to attack in direction of Korineva. Korineva is the vital city for the Ukrainians. Without taking under control Korineva, the Ukrainians have no chances to develop something more or less successful in this direction. Meanwhile, and telling the truth, time is planning is in Russian favor, because the Russians, while the Ukrainians stuck in the vicinity of Sudzha, Korineva, all these cities and towns along the border, the Russians continue preparation and creation of additional strongholds, fortifications and trenches. And in front of your screen you can see the recently created trenches and the fortifications in the Kursk direction, right in front of the Kursk nuclear power plant. So as you can see, just for around 2 weeks of Ukraine offensive operation, the Russians managed to create another line of defense of Surovikin. So very powerful line, and most likely the Ukrainians, by the time they reach this line, will not be able to move further. But the Russians can't build the fortifications in Glushkova region, so that's the reason why the Ukrainians are completely focused in this direction. We stopped receiving any media victories from the Ukrainian side, and more sources began talking that Ukrainians are suffering problems and so on. So that's why they need to restore this media flow with victories and so on. So that's why they're continue bombing and attacking the Russian forces in Glushkova, and most likely during the next few days they will start the ground operation, but for now we don't know for sure the exact number of Russian forces that are already there, and maybe the Russians currently have no problems to repel any attack from the Ukrainian side. So 24th of August has begun. Let's wait for additional updates, and once again, according to information we have, something big, huge and interesting is going to happen during the day. And that's it for this video. Military Summary channel reminds we condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.